Valley Club, understanding and upgrading your artifacts correctly is one of the most important things in Raid Shadow Legends, especially as a beginner. And in this video, we got a beginner guide, all the basics about upgrading artifacts, which ones to do, what are some tips, what are some mistakes to avoid. We got it all covered in this video. And if you're ready for all of that and more, then you need to do Valley Club. Find that like button and let's go smash it. And welcome back to the ValleyFlyin Raid channel. I am ValleyFlyin. I hope you're having an excellent day. This video is all about the artifacts in Raid Shadow Legends. We're going to talk about the basics as well as give you some tips and some mistakes to avoid. And if you get some value from this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell for even more Raid Shadow Legends content. But I do want to give a shout out to the sponsor of this video, the folks over at Raid Shadow Legends, because with their 6th anniversary, it's actually a really great time to start playing Raid. And if you use my download link down below or scan that QR code, you get 4 epic characters for free and 2 legendary characters within your first week of playing. So right away in your account, you're going to get Uugo, one of the best epics out there. Very great support champion, has a revive, great in arena. Level 25, which you can get within your first day. You're gonna get Tagoar, another one of the best epic support champions out there. Level 45, Rector Drath is what you're gonna get in your account. Another great support champion. At level 50, Mausoleum Mage, another great champion you get for free just by using my download link. And if you use the code Supreme6 within your first 24 hours of playing, you get Supreme Gaelic, legendary. He's a legendary void champion, great champion, especially for early game content. Supreme Gaelic is probably better for early game PvE content. You could also use the code Monkey King within your first 24 hours. This will get you Sun Wukong. He's another great legendary attack champion. He's probably better for late game PvP content. So the choice is yours. You could only use one code though. And then with a login event going on right now, you can get Alice in your account for free just by logging in for 7 days. As far as the timing on all of these, they're not going to be here forever, but that code for Supreme Gaelic to get that legendary character, that is going to go away April 5th. So you have until then to start a brand new account and get Supreme Gaelic for free. That Alice the Wanderer, that login bonus for 7 days, get her for free. Well, that is going to go away March 26th. So make sure you start that brand new account before that. And then the bonus for Sun Wukong, that promo code, it is going to go away at the end of March. So all of those legendaries are going to go away. You're not going to have access to the easy legendaries. So start your account as soon as possible. And of course, using that download link, you are still going to get those 4 epics for free. Let's go into the game and talk about some of the basics of these artifacts before we go into some tips and tricks and some mistakes that you want to avoid making. But each of these champions, at least at this beginner level, has 6 of these artifacts that you equip. You have a weapon, you have a helmet, you have a shield, you have a gauntlet, some gloves, you have a chest plate, and then you have some boots. Now, each of these has a primary stat and some secondary stats. So as for example, these boots, the primary stat is defense, which is not great, but in the beginning, you're just putting whatever gear you have on here. What I've done is just put them by stars and then look at the primary stats as well, because if it has a lot of stars but has a bad primary stat, it is not, you probably don't want to equip it or build it up or upgrade it. But this is one that we did upgrade for some bonuses there. But yeah, defense on boots is really not a good thing. Speed, it's a speed game, and you want a lot of speed on these boots. Now, as far as this primary stat right here, for example, this is defense. This is what's going to be upgraded as you raise the levels. So you got 16 levels that you can raid. It is very that you can raise up. It is very expensive to raise your levels, but as you raise these levels, the primary stat will go up. Now you have these other secondary stats. As you raise the levels and increase the levels of these artifacts, these secondary stats, they will not go up. But you will unlock some secondary stats. For example, if you have a real common piece of gear, let's say this piece of gear right here. As we start to upgrade, it's a very common piece right here. As we upgrade this, level 4, we'll get a new bonus substat. We'll get a new secondary stat at level 8, and then another one at level 12, and another one at level 16. But if you have a piece that is really rare, let's find one of these. Now, this one is a legendary stat as well. You'll have all of these secondary stats unlocked. So the higher quality of your accessory or of your artifact, the more stats you're going to have unlocked from the start. You're going to have these stats. You're going to get more stats as you continue to upgrade them. But with these higher quality of these artifacts, you're going to get them right at the start. So what should you focus on in the beginning? Well, in the beginning, you don't have a lot of pieces of gear. You don't have a lot of options as far as quality gear. and a lot of the the primary stats that you have is not ideal for all of your characters, but you do want to focus on speed, like I said. Alice is a character that we do have the correct boots on, and if you look at these legendary boots, it is a speed. We have a level 16, and as you get into level 16, I've seen it go up to 35. I'm not sure if it could go higher than this, but the boots that I have upgraded on this newer account only goes up to 35, which adds these bonuses here to their total base stats, which is very, very important, because that is what's gonna determine whether you win or lose that battle, or some of these stats will determine whether you lose the battle. But you want to go ahead of your opponents, and since this is a turn-based game, the more turns you're able to take, the faster you can take these turns, the better it is going to be for your account. So speed is a great bonus, especially with the primary stats, especially in the early game. Now, what you want to do with your champions, at least in the beginning, the mid game, is to get all of these boots speed stats here. Now, Kale, we don't have it fully upgraded. Sun Wukong, we don't have the proper stats on him. He has some HP percentage gear. We just don't have a lot of options here. But like I said, as you get more and more options, as you get more gear, you want to focus on speed as your primary stats, especially for these support champs, because characters like Tagoar or Uugo, very good support champs. You want them going fast and getting their effects off. Now, Alice is another character that you're gonna get if you log in for 7 days within that time frame. And I prioritize speed with her because one of her moves extends the cooldowns of all the enemies. So I want her going before all the enemies, so that all the cooldowns are all screwed up, and that usually screws up the battle. But speed, one of the most important base stats to focus on. So speed is one of the more important stats that you want to start to upgrade as you get better and better gear. But also you want to focus on this crit rate. Now, Kale, we do have the correct pieces of crit rate. You want to try to get this total to 100%, or as close to it as possible. We're going a little over it here. Eventually, we want to get that right at 100 and then put the rest of the stats over at crit damage. But right now, it's at crit rate, especially because you want your damage dealers doing as much damage as possible. So having this 100 will allow that to happen as often as possible. Now, the early place that you could get this is on these gauntlets here. As you see, the primary stat on this gauntlet is crit rate, and as we upgrade it to level 16, and it's 60% more crit rate, that'll help getting that up to that 85% that we need, or that total of 100. I say 85 because a lot of the champions have in their base stats 15% extra crit rate, which means for those champions you only need an extra 85 added. If you want the crit rate to 100 on some of these other champions that don't have that added bonus in their passive, you might need to get it all the way to 100. But for Kale in particular, 85% is what we're shooting for this crit rate. So that is very important early on. Now, later on, late game, you may want to switch this to crit damage, as you can get some increased crit rate from other sources. But early game, crit rate for your damage dealers is what you want to focus on. Now, when trying to find the gear that you want, you do have this filter button. I didn't use this a lot on some of my previous accounts, which was another mistake that I made. But as far as your primary stats, you have a few that you can choose from. HP percent, attack percent, defense percent, speed, crit rate percent, crit damage percent, resistance, and accuracy. Now, there's a few things to focus on. Normally, you want attack for your attacking champions, HP for your support champions, defense for your tanks in general, but these percent-based stats are going to be a little better than these normal ones. They're going to give you a little more stats than just these hard number stats. So if you can't always do this, but if you can, focus on these percent stats rather than just the hard numbers. Now, as you may have already noticed on these artifacts, there are a lot of different sets here, and they give different bonuses. For example, this life set gives an HP bonus of 15%. This offense set gives an attack bonus of 15%. Now, there's also different amount of artifacts that you need to equip on these champions to get that bonus. So for this life set, you see the 2 in parentheses. That means you need at least 2 of these life pieces to get this 15% bonus. If you have 4 of them, you get 2 of those bonuses, so a 30% bonus. If you have 6 of them, so you'll have 3 of these bonuses, so 45% more HP. Same thing goes with the offense set. Now, should you focus on these sets or these stats? I think later on it's more important to focus on these sets, to try to create sets that have all these bonuses and max out all the stats you get on your characters in the beginning, like I said, you don't have a lot of these options for your artifacts. You don't have a lot of great artifacts to choose from, and they may not have the primary stats that you want. So in the beginning, I would focus more on the stats of these artifacts rather than these sets. Later on, you could focus on these sets, but because you may not have all these pieces, you just want to get the most stats on your characters, I would focus more on getting higher quality pieces of artifacts, higher star artifacts, rather than just trying to complete a set. I think that's going to help you, at least in the beginning part of the game. As you get more artifacts and more artifacts to choose from, then you focus on these different sets and trying to acquire these bonuses here. If you want to upgrade one of these artifacts, when should you do it? It is pretty expensive. There are a couple options as far as upgrading that I'm going to talk about here. The instant upgrade, the upgrade one level. But when should you do it? Well, if we go out of the gate, out of this section here, we look at these different events that are going on. There's an events for upgrading artifacts to earn points and rewards. This is the time to do it. You want to wait till there's one of these events going on to upgrade your artifacts, because not only will you upgrade your artifacts, which you probably would do anyway, but you have some opportunity to get some ranking rewards and just some milestone rewards. The more of these that you are able to open during this, or upgrade during this event, the higher points you're going to score, which means that you're going to get more and more rewards. So for example, this event, we have scored 36 out of 60 points, and as we get to more and more points, we get more resources. So as we have some of these resource events going on, it's just basically free stuff for doing something that you would do anyway. If you could afford to wait to upgrade your characters. Now, there may be certain events that you're trying to hit milestones on, especially these Path to Arbiter missions. You may want to just upgrade some of these artifacts for those Path to Arbiter missions, so you could complete that. Could do that, but outside of that, or outside of other milestones, you do want to wait for the events to start to upgrade these artifacts. Well, let's come back to this screen where you actually upgrade your artifacts. There's a few different ways to do it. The simplest way, which may fail, is with this one upgrade. So every upgrade attempt that you do is gonna be costing, in this example, 23,000 silver. Now this one, the upgrade chance is low. Some of your early stats, like your first few levels, will be guaranteed upgrades. So whatever you see here as far as gold will instantly upgrade it. Let's go back to this. Let's go back to the actual section. But let's go back to the actual screen where you could upgrade your gear. Let's go back to the actual section where you're upgrading your artifacts, and there's a few ways to do it. Now, if you do one upgrade at a time, it will attempt one upgrade. It may... Let's go back to this section where you actually upgrade your artifacts. There's some mistakes that you can make here depending on what your goals are. So if you're just trying to do this the simplest way possible, you don't care about your silver here, you're gonna hit this instant upgrade at one level. It's gonna guaranteed go one level. You may spend a crap load of gold though, because there is some RNG with this. Now, if you hit this other button here, the upgrade, that's gonna be the safest way. That'll do one attempt. Now, as you get to these higher levels, level 12 and higher, it does have a very low upgrade chance. There is a higher chance of you failing. At the earlier levels, like before level 6, it's pretty much a very high chance or a guaranteed chance you're gonna upgrade. So whatever you see here on this section is the amount that it's gonna cost to upgrade. As you get to this low chances, it may fail. Now, if you upgrade one level, it's gonna use enough gold to upgrade one level, and you're gonna see the animations for it if it going. So let's go hit this button right here. And we do have a lot of gold. It'll fail, it may fail, and it's gonna keep going until it is done, until it upgrades one level. So that is one way you could do it. It can be very, very expensive, especially if you keep failing a lot. That is the way to do it. Now, the easiest way, like I said, but very, very risky as far as your gold spend, is to instantly upgrade. So that's gonna skip all those animations. You're just gonna go up a level. It could be very, very expensive though. So let's do this, and hopefully it's not that expensive to upgrade this. And we got it. Oh my goodness, that was almost 1 million silver that was spent. So very, very expensive, very risky. So probably the safest way, if you want to manage your silver, and you probably should manage your silver because it is a premium resource in the game. You want to upgrade one at a time, that we can manage it a little better. But if you don't care, you just want the easiest way, the easiest to hit this and hit that and go. So what's the best places to acquire these artifacts? Well, as a newer player, you have a few options, but I would definitely avoid this one, the market. You can get some artifacts here, but as you can see with these uncommon gauntlets, not even high quality gauntlets, just some uncommon ones, pretty expensive use of silver. So I would avoid the marketplace. The forge, you can get some eventually. You do have to go through a lot of these faction wars to get through that. So eventually you will be getting some from the forge, but in the beginning, the best place to get gear are from your campaigns and your dungeons. Your campaigns, you can see what kind of gear you're gonna get. You have the life gear here, you have your attack gear here, defensive, and so on and so on. So the type of gear that you have, all the basic gear you could get from these campaign missions. But as you go to these dungeons, there's different places that you get artifacts as well. So Ice Golem's Peak, you have a lot of these basic artifacts. Dragon's Lair is a great place for some of the more advanced artifacts. Same thing with the Fire's Nice Castle. A lot of artifacts that you get here. These are the different sets that you get in these different places. And the accessories you can get from the Spider's Den, they're very similar to artifacts. They are going to be tied to the faction though. So each artifact that each accessory that you get is going to be tied to the faction that could use that. So you will need to acquire more of these, whereas these artifacts, the faction that your character is on, it doesn't really matter. And once you start to acquire more and more of these artifacts, you can start to look for these sets. Now, what are some of the best sets for beginners? Well, speed. As we talked about earlier, this is a turn-based game, so the more turns you can take, the better. So speed is going to be king in this turn-based game. We also have accuracy. The more accurate your characters are, the more chance they have of applying their debuffs and buffs. So you want them accurate as possible. And last but not least is lifesteal. Heal by 30% of the damage dealt. This is going to help them with some survivability in a lot of these campaign missions, a lot of this PvE and PvP content. So those are the best early ones to focus on. Now, if you do get some of these more advanced sets, those are great, but early game ones that you can definitely farm, lifesteal, accuracy, and speed are going to be your top three. So let me know, are there other tips, tricks, or mistakes that you've made when upgrading your artifacts? If you get some value from this video, leave it a like, check me out on social media, and of course, if you want to get your 4 free epic characters, use my download link to check out Raid Shadow Legends, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hulk Fist Pump, ValleyFlyin out!